Hello and welcome. In this lecture, we are going to remap the column data types. We've already got our flat file as the source data. So where we are going to extract that data to is going to be the destination column, which is going to be inside our AdventureWorks DW database. We're going to use some columns from that database. We need to make sure that the data types match. For example, if you've got a string data type from the source data, we want the destination column also to have a string data type. If not, the extraction will fail or there'll be complications because the data types are different. So we need to remap it to make sure they match. So inside the Solution Explorer, right-click on the sample flat file source data, which is your connection manager. Right-click on that and click Open. So I'm going to open up this dialog box here. And basically, what happens once the integration services also has tools within it to help you suggest the most appropriate data types based on the first 200 rows of data. However, you can change this later. You can change whatever suggestion they have given you can change that. So click on this advanced option here, and this tab here called Suggest Types. This is what I was talking about. If we click on that, it will suggest data type based on the first 200 rows. So we've got this column selected, so it will give us a suggestion for data type for this column based on the first 200 rows of data. So click on Suggested Types and it will tell you number of rows 200, suggest the smallest integer type. So if you click OK, it will go ahead and suggest a data type. So we're not going to make any changes. I'm just going to click on the OK for it to give us a suggested data type based on the first 200 rows. No, currently the data type here is showing as string. All right, so I'm just going to click OK to that. You notice here it has changed the data type. It is suggested that the data type should be float based on the first 200 rows or records in that column. Now, what I want to do, I want to go over to the database, the DW AdventureWorks database, to compare it to the destination column we are hoping to send this data to. So let's go to All Programs, SQL Server, and click on SQL Server Management Studio. We're going to click on that to connect to SQL Server Management Studio, and just click Connect to connect. We click on the database plus sign here. We click on the AdventureWorks plus sign. The column we've just changed, this one here, the average rate. All right, inside the AdventureWorks database, the destination for that will be let's click on tables. There's a table called Fact Currency Average. I'm going to look for Fact Currency Average, Fact Currency. There's a Fact Currency here. So the corresponding column we want to match that to is this one here that says Fact Currency. So if we expand that column, inside that table, this Fact Currency Rate table, we've got several columns. And the column we are trying to match it to is this one here, Average Rate. If you notice, the data type here is float. And if I go back to this connection manager, it can tell you that the integration services has suggested a float. So that matches the destination data type. So let's go on to the next column, which is the currency ID column. We click on this suggest type again. Currently it's showing as string. So we click on suggest, and based on the first 200 rows, integration services will suggest a data type. So I'll click OK. And currency ID here is come back saying the data type is string based on the data from the first 200 rows. Now the corresponding column in our AdventureWorks database will be a table called dim currency. So let's go over to AdventureWorks and look for a table called dim currency. So most of the AdventureWorks tables. So we've got dim currency table. So we expand that table, expand the column. And the column we are interested in is this alternate key one here. If I scroll down, you can see the data type is nchar3. nchar. Okay, so the data type is different. So we need to change the data type from the source so that it can accommodate it can match, or it will fit in to the destination column data type. All right, so the currency ID, although integration services have suggested a string based on the data from the rows, however, the column data type is incompatible to the destination. So we're going to have to manually change that. So we're going to make some changes here. So we're going to change this to a database string type. So we're just going to change where it's got DT underscore TR, STR. We're just going to add a W in front of that. So it'll now be okay. So you place a W in front of that. So the new data type will now be DT underscore WSTR. The only thing that's changed here, we've added a W in front of the STR so that the data type can match the one for the destination when the data extraction or conversion takes place. So what we're going to do, we're going to also make it a Unicode data type. So we're going to select this option here, Unicode. So it should now say Unicode string data type. That will make it possible for it to match the destination column. The next option will be the currency date. So let's go to the currency date here. Again, let's go to suggested types and see what integration services suggest. They have suggested a string data type. So let's go over to the database, AdventureWorks, and check for the corresponding column table here. The table we are looking for here is a dim date table, which is this one here. So we expand that and go into the columns. We'll be looking at the alternate key, full date alternate key, this one here. And if we scroll down, the data type is date. All right, so we need to make that compatible to the source. So we need to change that in the property pane here. We need to come here and change this to, we're going to change it from this here to database date. All right, so let's see if there's any option for it here. No option, so we're going to manually do that. So we're going to change that. So what we're going to do is change the data type. We'll click on the drop down menu here. There is, and look for, we're going to use the database date time. So click on that. So we'll change that to database date time. We've got one more column to change, which is this one here, end of day rate. Let's click on suggest types, see what it suggests. It suggested a float data type. let's have a look at the destination column, and the table we are hoping to target here is the fact currency. There's a table called fact currency end of date, fact currency. So the table is called fact currency rate. So we expand the table, look at the columns, and the column we are looking at here is this one, end of day rate. So the data type is float. So if we go back to our integration tool, that matches the data type that integration services have suggested for us. So we don't need to change anything here. So we just click OK. So we have successfully remapped our data type from our source flat file to match our destination columns. Thank you for watching. Apologies, this lecture is taking quite long. I hope it's not been too boring for you. Thank you. Bye for now.